Hi, my name is Sujita and this is my second vlog. Today I will be looking at the 4-compass point routine, which includes north, east, south, and west. I'm just going to show you a picture of how it sort of looks like. So this is something that is used often in the teaching practice and also within classrooms as well with students. So the north, which is actually at the very top, represents the need to know. So it looks at like, what do you need to know or find out about this topic? The east, which represents excited. What excites you about the topic? What do you like to learn more about when you think of this topic? What is the upside? And then the S, which is south, represents for the steps, or it could be suggestions, or it could be stance. And what is your current stance on this topic? So when you think about a certain topic, what comes to mind? And then we have the last one, which is the W, which looks at worries. So what worries you about this topic and what is the downside? So this is actually the very first time that I have learned about this compass routine, and it's something that's great to use with kids. So I'm quite amazed learning this concept, and especially when students are learning something new and for the first time, instead of always doing the KWL chart, which is what I always use. This is also just as great in terms of letting students have an understanding of what they know already, what they want to know, what they're excited about, and even gives a good understanding to teachers as well to reflect upon what the students have written and based on that create lessons as well. And by having students figure out, what excites them, what worries them, what information they need to collect about a topic that they can decide on, how to proceed with the steps necessary to gather the information and sort of understand how as a teacher we can then create lesson plans and projects and assessments and things like that. Personally, this is very similar to what I kind of used when I was teaching pulleys and gears for a grade 4 class. And I had tested the kids by showing pictures of pulleys, various pulleys and gears that they can find at home and at school. And based on this, I sort of tested their understanding of what they know about pulleys and gears. And based on this, I had a conversation about what they would like to learn about. And when they told me openly about things that like building a castle and things like that, which is something that would excite them, I took that into consideration and I put that and I reflected upon that, and I made a sort of like a lesson plan based on that, and I created a formative assessment based on that. So this really just goes to show as a teacher, how we can incorporate basic things like this into our lesson plans and how we as teachers can reflect using this. This is great just for using with students to just get them excited about a topic, get them understanding about a topic, get them to, understand where they stand when it comes to the topic, pulleys and gears, what comes to mind when they hear that topic. And that's something that I kind of understood, and based on that, I created my lesson plan. And the 4-compass has also reminded me of the reading that we did in the Teach, Reflect, and Learn book. And I just have the reference for that. I hope you can see it. And in this book that we did pretty much our asynchronous activities on, I was able to sort of understand, the different stages that we as teachers all have. And for me, I was in the action stage. And while I was reading through the chapters up to chapter 9 that we had to do, I sort of understood that every teacher kind of follows in every category. And it's very similar to understanding the compass point, where when we started our practicum, we were excited to go into a new classroom, to a new grade, to a new school, a new environment, to learn about different students, because every child is unique in the way they learn. And looking at, where we stand as a teacher to understand when we're going into a practicum, what do we know that we can apply? And that's based on what was taught in our program. And then when we went to a practicum, what we have to apply based on what we've learned. So what is our stance on that? and then what we need to know based on our profession, based on, students, what they can learn, what, based on our observations as well, what they need to know. And based on that, we can pretty much understand, how we can create lesson plans for the students. So this whole idea of the 4 compass routine is very similar to how we all felt when we were walking into our practicum. And it's very similar to the idea that was in the TRL book when we're looking at the different stages that we as teachers sort of go through, and how even though, based on the quiz that we did, it said that I was on this stage, it actually kind of made me realize that I was actually in all of the stages. And in some point in my profession, I realized that I've been in all 4 of the stages that was mentioned. So it's a great understanding of how, as teachers, we kind of not only just follow in that one category, we are actually in a lot more than just that one thing. And reading that book and looking at this compass routine just gave me a reminder of it. And in terms of from my first blog to my second blog, I would say that I understand more about why as teachers we have to reflect, even though it's something that I do know we have to do. Over the course of from my first blog to now, I sort of understand more about why as a teacher we have to reflect, and why it's important that we do. And reading through that book, reading through those chapters, looking at this compass routine, it just gets me to thinking that, not just as teachers, but as students as well, we have to role model that for the kids. And if I were to look back at the fact that I was in a 4 out of a 10 scale, I would say that I progressed possibly to maybe a 6, which is still not great, but the progression is there in terms of how I reflected from the beginning to how I reflect now. And I do actually carry around a journal with me to not just reflect about my teaching practice, but also to reflect about me personally as a teacher, how I feel within this profession, as well as, in the future when I become a teacher, I'm able to look back at that and sort of reflect more about how I can still carry on that idea of reflecting even after I start my profession, which I know when I go into my practicum, I know a lot of teachers, they still don't do that. So it's important that we carry that practice, and I want to still know how, even after as a teacher, when I become into the profession, how can I still carry out that practice even after? And that's something that I want to learn more about.